Good evening and welcome to the July 14th, 2020 Sewer Commission meeting. This is also a remote meeting for people who cannot attend, who would be wanting to call in. In accordance with the Governor's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, the Goffstown Sewer Commission will utilize the emergency meeting provisions of RSA 91A to conduct meetings through electronic means while preserving, to the extent feasible, the public's right to notice of such meetings and ability to observe and listen contemporaneously. Public access for the meeting by telephone, you should call 603-766-JOIN, which is 5646. The participant code is 785645. I'll read the numbers a second time. Call 603-766-5646. The participant code is 785645 pound. I forgot to say the pound symbol at the end. So make sure you use the pound symbol. If you have any problem with access, residents experiencing problems with access during the meeting are asked to call 603-660-5000. That's 603-660-5000. At this time, we'll have our roll call for the meeting tonight, starting with Corey.
Corey White, Public Works.
David Pierce, Commissioner.
Tim Redmond, Commissioner.
Rob Trapaz, Commissioner.
Mike Urgo, DPW.
Lynn Pooler, Sewer Secretary.
And participating remotely, we have Mike Trank. Could you please identify yourself, Mike?
Yes, Mike Trank with Hoyle Tanner and Associates.
And Selectman Chet Bowen.
Yep, Chet Bowen, and I'm the only one in the room.
Thank you, both of you. All right, we'll begin our meeting with our public comment. Seeing no one, do we have anyone on the line that wants to speak to the subject of public comment?
No.
I'm getting a no. All right, we also have minutes from our previous meeting to approve from the June 9th, 2020 meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
There's a motion to accept the minutes as presented, seconded by Dave.
Yes,
By
I'll
Rob,
second.
Seconded by Dave. Do we have any discussion on the minutes? Your copy? Yes. Okay, there's no discussion on the minutes, so I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say, oh, we have to have a roll call vote, my mistake. Dave Pierce,
Yes.
Rob Trapaz.
Yes.
Tim Redmond, the chair, votes yes. We have a new business now. We have a sewer accessibility fee discussion with Gail. I hope I don't say your name incorrectly, Dupuy at 79 Lewis Street. So could you please come forward and identify yourself and have a seat? Both of you or one of you, whichever you like. You just both have to identify yourselves. And then I will ask our secretary to give us a little bit of information, then we'll get into it.
Okay. My name is Gail Dupree, owner of the 79 Lewis Street in Goffstown.
Okay?
I'm Holly Rodriguez, her daughter, who I also live at 79 Lewis Street in Goffstown.
Thank you, Holly. Lynn, do you have anything to report on this that you'd like to tell us before we get started?
My understanding is they added an addition, and they weren't aware of the accessibility fees and a couple of other fees that they had at the town, and coming up with that money is a hardship for them, so they wanted to come before the board and talk to them about it and see what could be done.
Thank you. We do have a letter from Gail here. It's in the record. All the members of the commission have it. I won't bother reading it into the record.
A letter dated 30 June.
Thank you, David. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask you folks to explain to us what you knew and didn't know, and let us know what you're thinking, please.
Okay. So when we decided to do our, it's an accessory unit, so they call it, and the contractor that we hired at the time didn't make us aware of any fees that were, and we ended up having to let him go because he didn't apply for permits for us and didn't follow through with any of those things. So we started with a new contractor, and at that time, they made us aware of the accessibility fees, but we were already into it so deep, because the other contractor took a lot of our money, and he still has it. So, once we found out about the fees, we were very concerned about that. And, towards the end of the project, which is done now, her husband, my son-in-law, he's on the
Economic development.
Development.
He's the
chair, right?
chair.
And he spoke with Joanne Duffy and Chet Bowen, who's on the phone. And we were made aware that the fees were being changed.
The schedule of them, or, yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
And so we wanted to come and talk to you and see if that's something that we could,
How they're being
Maybe.
changed, how we could, because I think from our understanding is the fees are the way they are because we're adding flow to the system, correct?
Yes.
But in actuality, we don't see how we've added flow to the system because it's the same amount of people that have been living in the house. Now we've just extended where we're all living, but it's still the same amount of showers, still the same amount of
Laundry.
laundry and bathroom use. Given we have put additions on, we've added more bathrooms onto the property, but which house in the neighborhood doesn't have more than one bathroom? We went from 1 to 3. But it's still the same amount of people using these facilities prior to the renovation.
Right, can I ask you a few questions first?
For sure.
So you hired this contractor, approximately when did this all start? What month and what year?
July of last year.
7 of 19. And when did you get rid of the first contractor and hire your second contractor approximately?
October of last year, we got rid of him. We hired,
Have you completed the project yet?
yes.
And when did you complete?
Well, we're doing punch lists
Yeah,
right
they're
now.
coming back for like little punch list things, but I mean, it's pretty complete as of, the 1st of this month?
Okay.
And this is holding up their CO, I understand?
Correct.
Because you can't get the CO until all your impact and accessibility fees and everything is paid.
Right.
So we'll give you some answers to some of your questions in a minute. I just wanted to try to get this figured out. So from October of 2019 until now, you knew you had to pay an accessibility fee, but you never were able to come in and see us about it or talk to us before now?
Well, I mean, we were in the middle of these, we could only do one thing at a time, so we fired the contractor. That was a whole ordeal. Him promising the money back, never getting it back. And then we hired another company who we had met a few months prior to that. So it was the company that we ultimately finished the project with, the one that we fired and someone, like we got 3 quotes. And so we hired them on in January was when we got our permit. And we knew of the fees at that time because when we found out that Joe, the original contractor, wasn't coming and getting the permits, we took it upon ourselves then to call and make sure that he was following through. So I was talking to Nancy and zoning and Mark, of course. And it was Joanne who told us about the fees way back when. But we are already in so deep of this project, it's like, well, now we have to follow through. Not sure we would have if we knew about those things, you know what I mean? Like, so we hired the new contractors in January, and I mean, they've been with us for about 6 months. And of course, coronavirus and all that.
So did the building department ever notify you of the fees?
When we got our permit,
When you obtained your building permit,
it showed the accessibility fees on there.
and that was with the second contractor, because the first contractor never took any permits?
Correct.
Right.
Okay. So you, at your time of your permit, you were notified. Any other commissioners have any questions about anything before we get into answering some of their questions?
Yes.
David?
You built an accessory dwelling unit.
Mhm.
Yes.
Does the whole structure have more bedrooms than you had before?
Well, we did more than just the dwelling. We did the accessory dwelling, and we renovated the main home. So in total, we went from a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, single standing home to a total of 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms.
So technically, you're saying you added 2 bathrooms,
Correct.
2 bedrooms, excuse me, 2 bedrooms. You went from 3 bedrooms to
To
5
5
bedrooms.
bedrooms.
And bathrooms went from 1 to 3.
Correct.
So you have a total of 5 and 3 at this point.
Correct, yes.
Are they half baths, full baths?
They're all full.
They're all full.
See, all of our fees are based on flowage, and they're all based on the state statute, which identifies occupancy and number of bedrooms. It's a state of New Hampshire chart that identifies how much flowage a house delivers to the system based on occupancy, and occupancy is based on number of bedrooms. You could have 5 bedrooms, but you could have 12 people living in there, and the number of people doesn't matter, it's the number of bedrooms that matters.
Okay.
I'm going to have, Mike can explain to you if you have any further questions, but you have really increased the amount of bedrooms dramatically by adding 2 more bedrooms to the house. So therefore, you are going to be charged an accessibility fee of some sort, because you're adding more capacity to the system by creating more places for people to occupy your house.
But it's the same amount of people.
It doesn't matter. We don't count people, we count bedrooms. It's in the state statute, and we go by the state statute. Mike, am I correct in my explanation?
That's right. The New Hampshire state rules and regulations that we use is based on the number of bedrooms in a home. So accessory dwelling basically is 1-bedroom unit. So now you're adding, 2, so you're adding 300 gallons per day, plus the 3 bedrooms that you already have, 450. So you're up to 750 gallons.
Well, we added only 1 bedroom in the accessory dwelling. We added the 4th bedroom in the main home.
Then you would have had to pay more fee for that too, because you
Yeah.
changed your main home. We should have come in and reassessed for that as well. You're being honest with us, and we're just being honest with you at this point.
Mark knew what we were doing. I don't know why this is,
When they change bedrooms from a 3-bedroom house to a 4-bedroom house, does that change anything, Mike?
Yeah, it'll change your flow.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because our fee schedule begins with 2-bedroom, which is where the state statute starts. 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, and that's, every time you add a bedroom, you add how many gallons of flow?
Yeah, 150 gallons per
150
bedroom.
gallons for each bedroom that you're adding. So this is all cut in state law. This is not something we arbitrarily make decisions on for residents in town here. And it's reviewable in our sewer use ordinance. It's all right there in black and white as to how we determine charges based on occupancy, and occupancy is based on the number of bedrooms in a home. So, David, you look like you wanted to say something. No?
Do we have any leeway on the timeliness of collecting?
Well, the first thing we would request from any applicant that has a problem with this is a request for a waiver. And a waiver is where you would either ask for a reduction in the fees, or you would ask for a timetable and a payment plan with the sewer commission. And we've granted both in past practices. If it is tied to your CO, then it would allow you, if you come to an agreement with the commission, it would allow you to obtain your CO and begin use of the property. But you are going to, number one, be paying, are you using the accessory apartment at this time?
Yes.
yes.
Okay, thank you for being honest. Beginning June 1st, is it June 1st or July 1st? July 1st, you're going to be starting to be charged for that apartment, even though your CO is in the works, if you're using it. And we're going to have to look at the extra bedroom and revisit your present sewer use so that you're going to pay for what your occupancy is based on. Now, we're not trying to punish you or hurt you or do anything to help, and we're willing to work with you to help you. But the fact is that people make decisions to add on to their homes, renovate their homes, change their homes, and our ordinances are designed to reflect how the system is impacted based on these changes. And that's
How
what
come-
we're talking about tonight.
If we've been through the town and the building inspectors and I just don't know why nobody communicates that to us.
Well, this is what I'm kind of wondering about myself. That's why I'm asking you the questions I'm asking you. Now, Mike, did this applicant fill out paperwork with you that it was supposed to be, that was picked up
No, I didn't get no
Can you
permit.
explain to that, please?
Nope.
what you-
I haven't gotten, I sent a contractor a permit, and I also told them that there was one on the counter for him to pick up, for them to pick up, and nobody's ever picked up the permit on the counter of
Did
the
you mail
office.
it?
No, we didn't mail it. We gave it to the contractor,
So the contractor had it.
yeah.
Did you ever receive anything from the sewer commission from your contractor?
The second contractor.
No.
So we have another disconnect here.
I just have a question. You're saying the first time nobody told you about it because the building permit wasn't taken out, but when you took out the building permit with the second contractor, was it on the building permit at that time that there was?
Just the accessibility, or the impact fees were on that
They didn't put
permit.
the accessibility fee on there?
No, the building permit only showed the impact fees are from the town, not the sewer
But
commission.
you spoke with the contractor,
Yeah, we emailed the contractor.
and you can provide them after the meeting is over so for confidentiality reasons with the name so they can confirm that their contractor did receive it?
Yeah, tomorrow I can get it through in the computer.
Or you can call the office and you can get it from Lynn in confidentiality from Lynn at the office. Mike will give it to Lynn. Because there seems to be, there's been a few disconnects here, and you're the unfortunate recipient of all these disconnects. And once again, we'd like to try to help you get through this, really.
Because I didn't know about it until I drove by to go check the other field, and I saw the addition being built. That's how I found out about it.
What's the increase in the accessibility fees?
I mean, the charge?
Yeah.
5,000, because it's over 650 square feet.
5,000 for, as a combination of the additional bedroom and the accessory dwelling?
The accessory dwelling is a, far as the soil use ordinance goes, accessory dwelling is anything over 650 square feet is one treatment unit, which is 5,000.
So we're not really charging them for the extra bedroom in the two in the main house. We're charging them for the accessory dwelling place.
Accessory dwelling.
Right.
But they are getting an extra bedroom that was not on their original house
But
plan.
that's not something, yeah,
Wait,
okay.
it's germane to the conversation.
Okay.
Because now when they sell that house at some day in their life, they can sell it as a 5-bedroom combined house and in-law, or a 4-bedroom and a 1-bedroom, or whatever the case may be.
Right, but I was just saying regardless, it's the 5,000 because of the accessory dwelling places. It would have been anyway, the additional,
Yeah, because you got 300, you get
Yeah.
an extra 300 gallons too. So.
plus the extra $400 a year for the
Soil use charge.
sewer use charge. So right now you pay $200 twice a year.
Right.
It would be $400 twice a year.
Of course it will be.
Didn't know that either.
So
Well,
really,
just so you can understand, the water that goes out of your home in wastewater goes into the pipes and goes to the city of Manchester. It's all metered by the city of Manchester, and they bill us for every gallon of wastewater that goes into their wastewater plant. We don't treat it here in our own town. We have a joint agreement with the city of Manchester, and we pay by the gallon as we deliver to Manchester. So when people do increase their home size and increase bedrooms and such, we get charged more because you're sending it through the pipe, and everyone else is sending it through the pipe. So it's not us making an arbitrary decision to increase your sewer use fees biannually. It's the city of Manchester bills us, and we have to pay for this stuff, and that's how it gets paid for. The users pay for it.
and it also encompasses the collection system and other, ongoing system components that people pay into as you expand your system.
And the upgrades to the management treatment plant are also part of that.
And we're responsible for anything that gets built. Percentage in the city of Manchester, if they do any repairs or additions to their system, we're responsible for a percentage of that repair, since we are a town that takes advantage of their wastewater plant to treat the sewerage.
But Gail, there's two amounts of money here. One is the initial connection fee of, you said 5,000?
Accessibility is 5,000.
Accessibility, and then you have the annual fee for both structures, the original home and the accessory dwelling. Each one's $400 a year. Which one are you taking issue with? Both of them, or just one of them?
Well, I didn't know about the other one, just found this out
The
tonight.
400, yeah, about that.
Just found it out.
Well, the fact is, your home use is gonna stay the same. It's the charges will be added on as a result of adding the accessory apartment. That's where the additional use fees come in, or charges for using the system.
So it's doubled
It's just,
for one.
yeah,
I know
double
it's
for
getting
one person
I know it's
who's
confusing.
always lived there.
So
Yeah.
we may have, if you wish to enter into a payment agreement, we can address the accessibility connection fee,
That's right.
but we don't have any leeway on the annual fee.
No, the charges for using the system are what they are.
That they are what they are, and we don't have any leeway to say less, more, or extended payments.
No, that's just a use.
Now, I found a PowerPoint on the town page about accessory dwellings. And it talks about that $5,000 fee, but it says nothing about the town usage being doubled in price.
No, that's your use of the system. That's where you get your bill for using the system.
Right, but what I'm saying is like, the PowerPoint set, the ins and outs of adding an accessory dwelling to your home in Goffstown, and
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 who
it-
prepared the PowerPoint, do you know? Well, we're
it's
gonna
just
have
on the
to-
town
So we
page.
got, that's number 3. We're gonna have to look into. Where'd you find that?
On the town website. I mean, it's been a while since I looked at it, but
And it was regarding building an accessory dwelling? Okay. No info about use charges.
Anybody on the phone has something to say, I just want you to know you're not muted. So you can
Yeah,
just
no,
go ahead
I
and speak up.
actually do. This is Chet Bowen. Just for the record, this is not what I see as an isolated incident. It's unfortunate that the sewer commission hears for the first time that there's all these disconnects. And so what I think I'd like to have a discussion about, a workshop about, whatever we need eventually, is how can we generate a prompt for an individual to know what these fees are going to be, because there are very few people that don't have to plan for a $5,000 fee. I agree with the fee and the fee structures, just want to make that clear. It's just really unfortunate that the sewer commission hears for the first time from a resident of Goffstown that they suddenly know they have to pay these accessibility fees. So I'm hoping that we can look at in a workshop or in some other format a way to ensure that a prompt is generated to the resident when they pull a permit or do whatever they need to do. And I'll stop there, but I feel strongly about this, given that I know this is not an isolated incident.
I made up a worksheet explaining some of this. What I can do is I can make sure that the building department gets it, and I can request that they pass it out with permits every time. That way, that might help.
That's great, Lynn. And anything we can do to avoid this specific situation for a resident would be great.
I will start doing that. I'll print that out. I'll make a stack of them and give them all to building to hand out with the building permits.
Okay, so
Thank you, Lynn.
this is Dave. What we just discussed is simply the administrative bureaucracy here at the town hall, whether we improve a website going forward or improve the instructions which are handed out when people obtain building permits, but all of that is independent of how we're addressing Gail's issue.
Correct.
Well, I think also.
I agree with that, Dave. I want to be clear that I agree with that. I'm just saying that we've seen similar situations before.
It also needs to be mentioned, and in the record too, that Mike Yurgo did give the contractor for these folks the information and emailed it to him, and if the contractor failed to pass it on to the resident, then sewer commission share, or the town shares no blame in non-notification under those circumstances.
Yes, he was an aide at that time.
Fair enough, but I think putting the onus on a contractor who may or may not pass it on puts us as a commission and the residents in a really tough situation.
Yes, but
Chet, this is Dave. I disagree. The agent, the contractor is an agent of the owner. And he didn't fulfill all of his communications that he should have.
the contractors, the residents oftentimes engage a contractor so that the contractor can be responsible for handling these details. And in this case, If it proves out to be true, then the contractor did not follow through. So we're gonna figure out what happened here between the resident, Mike, and Lynn. Those three are gonna handle that independently of this meeting and figure out what's going on. So Lynn, do we have a formal waiver form, request form that the residents have to fill out? Or Mike, do you know of anything like this? You do
No,
not?
no, we got something in the soil use ordinance, but it pertains to different things, not their case at all.
Not accessibility fees?
Not in their case, no.
And just to be clear, the accessibility fee, part of the reason why it's in place is that follows the deed for the house. So that the house will have been granted that amount of capacity based on the number of bedrooms, which is why we don't count people, because with an accessory dwelling, you could have, 2 people there. It doesn't necessarily need to be one, and the allocation of bedrooms is forever attached to the dwelling itself.
Now, I have a question. I guess if it's linked to bedrooms, and if we were to just, so one of the bedrooms upstairs, the reason why it went from a 2-bedroom on the second floor to a 3-bedroom is we just took 1 bedroom and cut it in half because it was so large. I have a friend in Goffstown, she lives on Gorham Pond, who had the same contractor as we did a very large second floor addition on their house, added a bedroom, added a bathroom,
I can already tell you what's going on.
no fees.
There's no sewer in Gorham Pond.
Right, they're on well.
Right, so we don't have any jurisdictional authority over anything they do in that situation, because they are not on the town sewer system. Technically, through the building department and through DES, they should have enlarged their septic system if they enlarged their bedrooms, because septic systems are based on bedrooms, again, which is state law. So, and I'm not gonna, nobody here wants to go investigate whatever those folks did, it's none of our
No, because they
business.
had a 3rd bedroom on the first floor and they
It's
opened it
all-
up, so now it's a den, so technically not a bedroom, and,
It's none of our business, and we're not concerned with it, but the differential is a sewer system connection or a private residence, which is on a septic system in that particular case. So I would suggest at this point, if no one else has any more questions or comments, that,
You.
unless you do have more to say.
Well, I'm just curious about, we heard that the fees were changing.
We're discussing accessibility fees, but we're not,
Right.
we discuss accessibility fees in a discussion to change them. Oftentimes to raise them, because our costs are escalating. We had work planned for $380,000 for sewer repair this summer. The bids came in at $600,000 to $900,000. So all of our costs are rising. So we are considering raising our accessibility fees.
Okay, we heard
have
the
not done that as of yet.
We had heard the opposite, so that's why we were.
I'm curious to know, and I'm not asking you to tell me, just who would,
It's right in my letter,
Like the square footage of the property.
who told us this.
doesn't matter. I really don't want to bring someone's name into the meeting if you don't mind, please. But I seriously don't believe we're going to be lowering them at this point. I don't think that's even in the cards.
It's actually more administrative in terms of how things are gonna be measured, and we have some more agenda to talk about today. But I don't know that the calculation would necessarily change, and most of what the report is addressing is justification for the dollar value per gallon or treatment unit, depending on how the revision ends up. Not so much whether or not it applies to what happened to your residents.
We're just making sure that if we're charging a $5,000 accessibility fee, that we can justify it based on our financial calculations and needs within the sewer system. If we only needed $3,000 per hookup and we were charging $5,000, we'd be criminal, and we're not doing that. We're trying to make sure that we have justification for our decisions, and we conducted a study, and we have an engineering firm that conducted our study, and they came up with, they took all of our equipment, all of the figures and values of everything, and they divided it by flows, and they actually suggested we raise our rates. Isn't that correct, part of the report?
I don't think it's actually been decided.
Well, it hasn't been decided, but my sense is that they think we're undercharging, and that's a discussion for another day, and that's a public discussion here at the meeting, so if you want to listen to the meeting, be the only two listening.
Actually, that's probably the next item on the agenda.
So it's I think, summarizing what the other two commissioners have just said, our accessibility fees have been verified as a correct amount through various engineer studies and financial analysis, and they've been standing for some time.
Mhm.
We may be changing some of the methodology going forward, but the existing fees that we have are firm and well-researched and justified.
Yeah, I think just to add to
So
that,
I think the only resolution here is, are we willing to negotiate a
Well-
payment scheme?
I'll just take a straw poll among the commissioners for their knowledge. Are you, David, willing to work with these residents and work out a payment schedule?
Yes.
Rob, are you willing?
absolutely.
I am also. So what I would request that you do at this time, and submit it as quick as you can, if you probably don't have it with you, give us an idea of what you would be able to or comfortable to pay, and I would ask the commissioners, what would we think would be a fair term to allow payments to be, within what time frame? Well, I'll be the first one to say it, 1 year.
I was, yes. I would like to see a 12-month payment scheme,
So if you,
12-month plan.
yourself?
That's fine.
So if you can figure out a 12-month payment and make a request in writing to the sewer commission, we can work with you on granting, or not, most likely will, work with you on getting something done so that you can move forward and get your CO done and get your stuff in gear. The big risk for us, and we're not saying anything bad about you folks, is we have no leverage over you if you don't pay your payment plan. We can't go out and plug your sewer line and say, well, you didn't pay your bill. It's not like the water where they can turn a gate valve in the street and shut your water off. So we're just gonna rely on your honesty and fairness. If you can bring up something that you think works for you, then we can hopefully move forward.
What?
I'm just looking to see if you have anything else to
No,
say.
no, no.
A bit more difficult with masks on.
Yeah,
We can't see if you're smiling or frowning under there. Your eyes say you're smiling.
I am.
That's why you're wearing a mask.
I'm going to assume that this is interest-free. They're
No,
not going to...
I would say an interest-free. We're not going to add punishment onto this.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say. I just was making sure.
I would say that. Dave, would you concur?
Concur.
Absolutely.
And just so as I can be certain, Mike, have we had this as a past practice with residents? Have we done payment plans with a resident in the past? We've done it with a business, because they had a tremendous accessibility fee.
Makes no difference to me.
Yeah, I don't think we have.
Do it to one customer.
Well, you know, we would be setting a precedent, and that's why I want to be sure I know where we are.
Not to my knowledge that we ever done it.
Well, then we're opening ourselves up for a bunch of these applications if we're going to be certain that we're going to go through with this at this time.
I suggest we take a look at the language from the last commercial
The
application that we did.
The commercial one was different, went through the lawyer, and there was interest
Yeah, I know there
accruing
was.
and all
And
that.
we-
So that's why I just want to,
But part of it is that the accessibility fee is tied to the deed of the property. So if it went unpaid and they went to sell the property, then we might have some recourse in terms of the allowable flows for that property.
well, I was
Not saying in this
thinking,
case, but
as far as like the sewer usage, the $200 twice a year, what happens with that is a lien is put on the property if they don't pay. So in this case, it would probably be the same type of thing where it would go into, a lien would be placed on the property, so they couldn't
Well-
sell it until it was paid off.
So let's go back to the commissioners. If in fact that these folks were unable or did not pay their monthly payments and complete it within 1 year, is this commission going to be willing to place a lien on the property?
whether we will or whether we have the ability to, or two different things.
Yeah, I'm not
I don't-
sure how
I don't-
the-
I don't believe we have
I
to
think you
address
do.
that.
I think you,
Yeah,
I think it'd have to be
because
written.
when we did like certain extensions, like Norcrest and all that, and people didn't pay the accessibility fees, because it's, high number, they put a lien on the property
Okay.
until it was paid.
Like Tim said,
I just want to
We
know
don't
what the
need- yeah.
commissioner's thoughts are. I'm not the only one here making, I'm bringing it up for a discussion item, and it's important that it's discussed. It's not important that we floss over it. So,
and Mike Trank, we should probably take notes as we update the accessibility fee.
Chet Bowen, Selectman Bowen, would you like to weigh in on our discussion at this time?
No, I think I understand where you're going, what you're doing, and I certainly appreciate the willingness to work with the resident. And I do agree that there's certainly some issues to work out over time.
All right, folks, have anything else for this for tonight that would help you convince us otherwise?
I wish.
No. I guess maybe just to make it more clear when people apply to do these types of
Absolutely.
renovations,
Absolutely.
they know exactly what they're getting into, because we're not sure
If
we
we
would have
would've-
done it, because, but we were so far in,
Well,
we had no
no,
choice.
I'm going to quantify our position as you hired a contractor and he never took any permits, and you spent money with a contractor without permits, and that's on you guys, not on anybody else.
Mhm.
So your second contractor did his due diligence and went forth with permits and got information.
Some of it.
Whether or not you got it, it's not not for us. But had your primary contractor done permits, you would have known about this before you had ever dug the hole for the foundation. And you would have either been able to make your decision at that time or not, whether you wanted to
Right.
go forward.
But not knowing how the process works, we didn't know,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
It was
I'm-
it was the payment we gave him to start
I'm not gonna-
ordering supplies, and we did the same thing with the second contractor
I really
too,
don't
before we
wanna-
got the permits.
I really
so.
don't want to be contentious in our discussion. I mean, when you add on to your home, I certainly would assume you know you need permits to add on to your home.
We
Well,
do know
We did
that.
know that,
And
yes.
when your first contractor didn't take permits, that should have been a red flag.
Well, it
in my
was.
opinion.
Well, there's way more to the
There's more
story
to
that
it.
we're not, to like,
This could take the whole night.
Yeah. We came to zoning, we were told he was getting permits,
Okay.
we
thank
talked to Nancy, Mark knows the situation, there's
Yeah.
way more to it than us.
Just.
Not
All that
being
being
aware.
said, we're gonna take steps to improve what we can do as well. You know, a lot of the information you provided, you know, it certainly,
you. I wrote it all
tells-
down.
it tells a very
Look into
unfortunate
it.
story that you're in this position. And we certainly want to work with you to the extent that we can. We're just in a position where we can't set new precedent, but we can certainly improve the tools for communication so that hopefully this never happens again.
Unfortunately, we have to be the leading example.
I know.
So will you please submit your request in writing to Lynn at the sewer department? And if it meets the criteria that was set forth with the commissioners, we probably won't have to revisit this at another commission meeting, Commissioner Pierce? Could we do it administratively, if it agrees with what we agreed to tonight?
Yes, we'll make a motion then, I'll make a motion that if the Dupree's submit an application for a 12-month payment
Yep.
plan, then we will accept that. And our Secretary Gail can carry out the administrative actions
Tell me
necessary.
now.
Secretary Lynn.
That's right, I'll go by Gail. I'll go
You also go
by,
by Gail?
I'll go by whatever he wants to call me.
Oh, okay. All right, so David has made a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. No, we can't.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Dave, yes.
Rob Trapas?
Yes.
Tim Redmond votes yes.
One question, and when would those payments begin?
Well, we're gonna start billing them for the use of the building
Well,
That's
quarterly.
use, that's,
the user fee begins July 1st. So when you get the bill in November, you'll get the additional $200.
I think we should begin
Which-
payments. I'm sorry.
How would
Mark.
you have known about that unless I didn't tell you that there was 5 bedrooms in that home?
We're not charging you for the fifth
Well,
bedroom.
yeah, because now we're
Oh,
paying
no,
400.
No, because as soon as we get the accessibility fee,
Mhm.
once we get the building permit and you pay the accessibility fee, I automatically add the extra
Building
unit
adjustment.
onto the system, and it would automatically charge you the extra $200.
So So I guess it doesn't matter how many additional bedrooms we put in the house, it's the fact that we added the accessory dwelling, which was a one-time charge of $5,000, and then an additional $400 every year
Yes.
for that one
use.
dwelling.
We're not charging you for the other bedroom split in the other house. We're not pertaining, had no discussion on that matter. You've been honest with us, and we're not going backwards. We're just sticking with the new information. The new information is the accessory apartment, and that's all cut and dried and laid out in our ordinances and in our fee schedules. It's nothing that was made up here tonight. Now, whether the buyer beware clause fits in, people should do their own information, we should supply it, well, we're gonna try to do a better job of supplying it to the residents in the future.
Definitely the upcharge, because that was I mean, I've gone through the zoning and the building and all that, and I
Wouldn't
haven't
have
seen that
You really
anywhere.
wouldn't have expected to add to the sewer system and not pay for it.
I just thought it was the $5,000.
No, the $5,000 is an accessibility fee, that allows you to hook up to our system. That does
It's a
not,
one-time fee.
that's a one-time fee that allows you to
Right.
hook up to the system.
I understand. What I'm
And then
saying
you-
is, there's no talk anywhere in any of the documents that I've written, that I've read, that says that we'll also be charged an additional $400 a year to have an accessory dwelling.
Would that have been in the information?
It would have been on the bottom of your permit
The sewer permit that they pull from you.
Which we never got.
that you never got.
So that's another hurdle to jump over at this point. And I think the three of you should dig into it and find out what you can find out.
And I usually, if somebody calls me and they, people sometimes will call me and ask me about the accessibility fee or whatever, and I always tell them, you have a $5,000 accessibility fee, and then it will be an additional,
You got enough discussion on this matter, Dave? You got more?
sorry.
No, that's it. I think the
Okay, the motion's been made and it's been passed, so the ball is in your court. Lynn wants to know when we're gonna begin to expect payments. That's what the question was. We haven't answered. August 1st?
Well,
Not good
Just
enough.
do
within
weeks.
the month of August, so end of August.
End of August would be your first payment we do, and it'll be from August to August. Your 12 months.
Well, you want to make it like September 1st to?
No, I wanna make it
August
August.
31st, August what?
Just, you mean August 31st or September 1st? That's one day, whatever the difference is.
The heck, well, what do you want, what, August, oh, we're in July, I was thinking we were in August, I'm sorry. That's why I
Within-
said, I had my months
A
on.
payment before the end of August, the first payment before the end of August.
Okay, so technically, I'll put it to due August 1st.
And if the plan meets the criteria, then you can.
Oh, you mean you have a 30-day, you figuring a 30-day payment period? Is that what you're saying? Due August 1st?
Well, August something, August 1st
We
to,
wanted to do the payment plan?
Just do August,
Yeah, it's a big
August
hit.
31st.
Just make, payments are due by the 31st of each month.
Okay,
of the-
August
of the
31st.
12-month term.
Gives them a month and a half to.
And unless there's a month that has 30 or a month that has
okay,
29.
last day of the
And
month.
last
So
day of the
August
month.
31st,
Well,
September
they're for the
30th.
years.
Gives you 1 year to take care of it.
Sorry for the event.
Sorry for all your inconvenience, and it's unfortunate, but we appreciate you coming in to see us tonight. And
Well, we appreciate you listening.
Yeah.
I know you're not as happy as you would like to be, but
No, but we haven't been for a year, so.
at least you have some
Sorry.
resolution at this point.
All right,
And
thank you.
and it will help you to obtain your CO.
Okay, yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye, good night.
Old business, we have abatement reviews to begin right now. Each of the commissioners has a,
Do you want to jump and get Mike Trang taken care of?
yeah, let's take care of Mike and- so he doesn't have to listen to this.
You
We're gonna go
guys
out
do
of-
minutes?
We did.
We're going to go out of order on the agenda. We'll go to sewer accessibility fees and Mike and Rob have a report for us, please.
Take it away, Mike.
Yeah, I apologize. I had a virtual meeting ahead of this one, so I was kind of stuck, so I decided to call in. My charge at the last sewer commission meeting was to get together with Mike Yergo and try to work through any changes or inconsistencies that needed to be rectified in our summary report. So I did that. Mike and I had some discussion, and what we came to was basically a question as to whether it was going to be problematic to have accessibility fee based strictly on gallonage, as opposed to treatment units, the way it is now, but then have the user charges be based on treatment units, as it is now. And, you know, whether that there would be any inconsistency there or not. So I reached out to a fellow that we've worked with on updating the sewer user charge system in Goffstown in the past, and asked his opinion, and he wasn't sure. He thought, you know, in general, there should probably be some consistency between the two, but, you know, there's maybe some extenuating circumstances there. So he asked me to send him a couple of examples, which I did, and I haven't heard back from him at this point. And, you know, I had this discussion with Rob the other day as well, but we can see some potential pitfalls, but that doesn't mean they're not insurmountable.
Rob?
Well, part of the reason why I wanted this on the agenda is I wanted Mike to discuss this. We were hoping to have some feedback from the consultant there on it. You know, one of the possible solutions is that you know, we don't necessarily want to change the entire sewer use ordinance as a result of the update to the accessibility fee. So right now, the accessibility fee would return units in gallons, and then all our sewer use is based on treatment units. So, you know, one of the things we talked about is, can you just take the flow that you derive from the state table and divide it by treatment units with some rounding factor in terms of half or full treatment units? And that's where the conversation kind of ended with Mike and I, Mike Trank and I.
Well, aren't treatment
Yeah, and that's essentially what you're doing right now, is you're taking estimated flow from, say, a new connection, and then dividing it by 450 to come up with equivalent treatment units, as opposed to just using the straight estimated gallonage.
And the only place where this really applies, or would be more difficult, is when you're dealing with commercial situations that don't end up in an even number. I think Mike Urigo has something to say.
Well, I think this study was based upon finding out whether the dollar amount, $11.11, was adequate enough to run the system. That's what the whole study was about. I don't think changing the treatment units is going to make a big difference, because then right now it's not apples to apples. I think if you keep the treatment unit system the way it is today, and basically you're just upgrading your dollar amount for your accessibility fee, then really not much is changing at all, except your dollar amount from $11.11 to $11.55. I mean, that's the whole basis of the study to begin with.
Right, well, I mean,
And then it just rolled on to another section. Well, how about per bedroom? How about get rid of a treatment unit? Doing it that way. Well, if you get rid of a treatment unit, then the whole system has to get revamped, and every household has got to get readjusted. So you have apples to apples with accessibility fees.
So aren't treatment units derived on a per gallon formula? Isn't that how a treatment unit is?
Treatment units based on a single-family home, which is 450 gallons per day.
So doesn't treatment units still have a gallon capacity tied to it, so there's not in conflict, Rob? With the?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mike.
The basis basically is, Mike said, is 450 gallons per day. So in essence, it would be equivalent to a 3-bedroom, single-family home.
so 4-bed. So really the rub comes in that
So
if you had a 4-bedroom house, using the table, you would end up with 600 gallons per day. for that dwelling, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of the commercial aspect, where we don't hit the numbers square on the points, is there a way for us to have an addendum in our sewer use ordinance that allows us to do more finite calculations based on their gallonage output instead of using the treatment unit as a formula, because they don't drop into the state septic system formula program? Is there a way for us to work that in there?
Yeah, I mean, the objective was to try to keep this simple.
Never simple.
But let me give you an example. If you had, say, an industrial user that was going to be discharging 2,000 gallons per day, based on the $11 per gallon charge, the accessibility fee would be $22,000. Based on the current charge, which is 5,000 gallons per day, or $5,000 per treatment unit, the 2,000 gallons per day would equate to 4.5 treatment units. Well, that would be an equivalent of $22,500. So there's really only like a $500 difference in what the accessibility fee would be between the two systems, if you will.
What we do in the past, and it's been doing for quite a few years, is that for industrial or commercial, goes to the nearest half.
Right.
Unit.
Rounding up or rounding down?
It's either way.
Well, it would be,
If you had 45, you go to 50. If you had 75, you go to a full treatment unit. If you're at 55, you stay at a half.
I would err on.
I would err on the rounding up always myself, wouldn't you?
I just said the opposite and you were speaking too loud.
So what are you saying, David? Excuse me.
I would tend to round down to the nearest half.
Well, and there's a few,
There's enough give and take here.
well, the only thing is that if you're looking at a large development, are you looking at it on an individual basis or as an aggregate basis? That was some of the concerns that I had. If you had somebody that was developing, 100 multifamily units, now all of a sudden that gets a bit more complicated and can turn into some real money. That's why I
The
was hoping.
calculation should be based on a residence, not on the total complex.
Based on each individual unit as a living unit.
Yes.
So you got some now today, they're gonna be built as 2-bedroom units. Some are built as a 3.
Well, my thought was to have Mike Trank get some more information from somebody that has been through this before, so we're not reinventing the wheel. Mike, what's your expectation of receiving something back?
Well, I expect I'll hear back from him this week.
Let me ask Rob. Rob, why, in your opinion, why are we having this discussion? Where is our pitfall? What is our problem?
The way the document is set up now, like Mike Trank said, the intention was to keep it simple. You calculate the number of gallons, you pay for the number of gallons as an accessibility fee, and that way you don't have to interpolate between the lines. The rub
Right.
comes with the compatibility with the sewer use ordinance, because sewer use ordinance is based on the treatment units. So you end up having two different scales for similar measurements.
Yeah, except that with the gallonage, you'd be using it strictly for the purposes of the accessibility fee, and then for the user charges, then you'd still be using the treatment unit basis as you're doing now.
If it works, why are we fixing it?
Because if you have a 2-bedroom apartment at 300 gallons, where you're gonna charge them for a sewer user fee. That's the rub. That's where the conflict comes into play.
And right now, you'd be charging them what?
You'd be charging one treatment unit, 450 gallons.
And it would be 300 gallons, Mike,
For a two-bedroom, yeah.
with a table set up?
So that's 1.5? What's 300 in treatment units, Mike?
Be three quarters. 0.75 probably.
Well, I'm gonna
Unless
defer.
unless you went down to 300 gallons, your minimum fee, your minimum treatment unit.
Well, there's a good
Well,
compromise.
that's what we talked about at the prior meeting was, having 300 gallons per day be the minimum charge, regardless of, what the bedrooms are.
Because you know what happens? They always seem to get bigger when we're not watching.
Well, they do grow,
So
especially residential homes.
if the commission, based on the report from Mike and confirmed with Rob and Mike Yurgo, is that if we set 300 as a minimum threshold, if that's their recommendation, we can move forward and discuss that at a future meeting for an answer to this dilemma. But we'll let
But you might have to readjust all these homes still that are existing.
We're not going backwards with this stuff, we're moving
Well, I'm
forward.
just saying that to make it apples to apples, make it equal.
Well, no.
Which is so
but
user fee.
The accessibility fee, it's a one-time payment, so the two-bedroom house would have paid the accessibility fee at the time for a two-bedroom house.
They
So
paid it
you-
$5,000, one treatment unit.
But they would be on the books as being a two-bedroom house, having paid their accessibility fee, regardless of what the dollar value was.
I think our explanation, going back to when Steve was the chair of this commission, the reason for the accessibility fee is paying forward for all the people that have been paying for this system for the last 30 years in town,
Correct.
and not causing them undue financial strain because we have to do a $1 million pump upgrade, and now we have to change everyone's user fees to fund that stuff. The whole purpose of this accessibility fee is a paying forward program for those who are adding into the system, for those that have been paying all along,
Well, the-
and not causing them, because they've already paid their fair share towards the system. It's
Sure.
the new users.
The majority of our projects and our financial outlay is in repairing old sewers and replacing them. And that's what the bulk of the accessibility fee in a, categorical manner is going towards. So, yeah, we have a lot of old sewers and the projects aren't cheap. And if you are adding more flow and are using a system that's already been paid for, this money goes into repairing and replacing it.
And when the day comes that we have all our clay tiles lined or replaced, and all the lines are either PVC or hard line pipe, and we're not having infiltration issues, and we don't have large projects to do, then we can make decisions on how we're gonna charge for the use of the system. But right now, we don't have the luxury of not addressing our aging system and making sure it functions properly. So where are we? I'm gonna let Rob Trapas here take the ball from it. Where are we, Rob, right now with the discussion, and what's your recommendation?
I think we hear back from the consultant that Mike's engaged, and I would like to see some examples. I like the idea of setting a minimum, but I would want to work through a bunch of different examples to make sure that we're not creating a problem or stepping in something that we can't recover from.
Mike Trank, do you have anything else to add at this time?
I just had a quick question from Mike Yurgo. What is the minimum charge right now for accessibility fee? Is it a half a treatment unit?
It's a full treatment unit. Full treatment unit for
Full treatment?
for a three-bedroom house, for a single-family home. There's one treatment unit, and
Well,
accessory dwellings half.
No, I'm thinking more along the lines of like apartments, say a studio apartment. What would be the minimum charge
Based on square
under the
foot.
current?
That's based on square footage.
Was it 660 square feet is what I have?
650 square feet right now, or greater. It's a treatment unit.
And how does that-
Anything under 650
how does that
square
relate?
feet is a half.
So, Mike Trank, hang on a second. So why don't we look at the basis of the problem? And the basis of the problem is, as we talked about this meeting before, is that square footage calculation. Why don't we adopt 800 square feet to align ourselves with the zoning as our minimum for a half a treatment unit? And then we don't have to worry about this anymore.
Then we have to go through the state again. Isn't that what we said at one of the last meetings? We'd have to go through the state again and change our,
So,
That should not be a deterrent.
So Mike Trank, if we wanted to change that one number in our sewer use ordinance, would the state have a big problem with us with reviewing that one page in the whole document, do you think?
No, I don't think so. And I can confirm this, but I'm not even sure you have to go back for review and approval by DES. If you're only changing the rate, which you're going to have to do from time to time anyways, and you're not materially changing the wording of the sewer use ordinance itself, I don't think you're required to go back to DES for review and approval, but I will confirm that for you.
Thank you, Mike. So I would,
I think Mike Kirigo has something.
Mike, you want to say something?
Yeah, what we did is, when we did that little workshop with Mike, is we eliminated the numbers, and we based upon whatever the zoning reg is, and the RSA, whatever their reg is. So if they change, so zoning changes to 900, it automatically changes yours. It follows that regulation. So you don't put a number in there.
And that would be considered a half a treatment unit at that point, if it follows there and it's
It's
necessary?
still a half, yeah.
So how does it affect this applicant we just dealt with right now? What would their,
So over 650 square feet.
but we're proposing to make that,
But right now, you're proposing, it's not in your ordinance.
well then,
That's the difference right now.
Yeah, that whole application's in the past,
okay.
so,
Yeah, well, it'd be nice if we could do something. We can't do it tonight.
well, it's not even done, so,
All right, so we're gonna, so are you recommending, and are we going to have our sewer use ordinance have language as you just described to us, Mike, so we don't have to deal with a minimum and it's gonna follow the zoning? Is that the proposal?
Yeah, for that part of it, yes.
And that would eliminate this crux of us being in alignment with zoning, right?
Right. I'm
I
sure of
think,
that.
how do you feel about that, Dave?
Go.
Rob, how do you feel? And I concur. So I think we should move forward with that proposed change to the sewer use ordinance to align with zoning.
but, Mike Kirigo, are there other items in the sewer use?
Yeah, there's actually in the back, in the soil use ordinance, the accessibility fees when it was set way back for construction 20 years ago. And some of those are gonna have to come out because they're expired.
Let's get those in an email so we can address them.
Yeah, they're in the back of the book.
All right.
You're talking about the betterment charges for specific developments?
No, there was easements, there was special easements for like Mountain Road
Oh, the
construction.
Yeah, the easements, yeah. I
Those,
get you.
those are all expired,
Yeah.
So do
so
they have to
those
be
don't need to
renewed?
be in there
Should they
anymore.
be renewed or removed then?
Removed.
Removed, okay.
I think we should get through the accessibility fee first, then clean up the sewer use ordinance to reflect and
Your program.
get continuity.
So can we possibly have them on the agenda for our next meeting, Lynn?
what do you want on the agenda?
The sewer use accessibility fee discussion that we've been having tonight, as well as the sewer use ordinance change to reflect, follow the zoning, as Mike Yurgo was describing, for the square footage for a minimum size, half a treatment unit.
Would you be kind enough to separate sewer use and sewer accessibility fee?
I was going to, yeah.
Thank you very much.
That was my plan.
Really was thought him as two items. They were supposed to be two items, right?
Yeah.
They kind of rolled off your tongue pretty quick, so.
I can read what Tim's saying, I get it.
You know, Mike.
So are we done with Mike Train? Going dinner?
Mike, would you like to leave us with a smile at this point? See, you're laughing.
Smiling.
I got it. Thank you, Mike, for phoning.
I can hang on, if there's anything else that could come up, but
We're gonna talk about abatements. We're gonna talk about abatements and a warrant, and we'd be done. So if you don't Any issue with billing or anything you need to discuss? Are we all good with billing with you folks?
Yeah, we're all set.
Okay, good. All right, well, if no other commissioner has anything for Mike, I will say thank you, and you can go have something to eat.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Night.
Okay, Lynn prepared a little document for us here with the list of abatement requests, and they're in order here.
Yep.
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to have Lynn go through them very quickly, if she can, and unless there's discussion items, we can have a thumbs up, thumbs down vote on each one individually as we go through them. Begin, Lynn, please.
Okay, the first one we have is Ollie's Food and Spirits. They mentioned that they've been closed for in-house dining since March 16th due to COVID, and they just opened June 15th at 50% capacity, and dining has been significantly less since they've opened.
Any discussion on this one, Commissioner Pierce?
No.
Commissioner Trapas? No. I will call for a roll call, listen yea is to grant the waiver.
Mr. Chair, all of these are exactly 50% of the invoice, so
Well, that was my question. This is for only the total invoices for January 1st through June 30th. And then the abatement amount that I put is what I thought we were doing
Yeah.
was for just March 1st through
Yeah.
June 30th. So that would be 50% of the total invoice.
That's correct, and that's how
Okay.
we set it up, if I'm not mistaken.
okay, so, the purpose of individual voting is in case we have a concern about someone not just fully justifying.
Yes, we should vote them individually in case there is a...
Please, I'm sorry to
So,
interrupt.
a yea is to approve the request, a nay is to deny it. Commissioner Pierce?
Approved.
Trapas?
Yes, approved.
Chair votes approve, so that one is approved.
Okay.
Second one.
Second one is Goffstown Congregation of Jehovah Witnesses. They said under normal condition, the Kingdom Hall would have usage 7 days per week. However, due to COVID-19, between April 1st and June 30th, the building is not being used, just being checked on regularly.
Any discussion on this one?
Motion to approve it.
We don't need a motion. Commissioner Pierce?
I'm in favor of it.
Yes. Commissioner Trapas?
Approve.
Approve for the chair. Next one.
Okay, the next one is Putnam's.
No, Sawyer's.
Actually, it's Sawyer's. They were closed for 10 weeks. They weren't open at all.
Any discussion? Commissioner Pierce?
I agree with it.
Commissioner Trapas?
Approve.
The chair votes approve. Next one.
Next one is Putnam's.
Well, what?
Didn't even sign it.
Well, they signed up.
Wait a minute, which one? The one for Putnam?
He signed
13
it.
Main Street?
That's Putnam. That's Sawyer's. He signed the
Sawyer's.
bottom.
Yeah, okay,
Sawyer's,
signed it.
John Putnam owns Sawyer's, correct?
yeah.
Well, I think they rent the building.
They rent the
Oh,
building.
whatever.
So it'd be actually the property owner should have signed it.
The owner is Choquette Boating Company.
Right. Oh, the property owner did not sign it.
Right.
Well, I'm not gonna hold that up. I think that's
Just
overkill. But, you know, we're back to, since this has come up, the first two applications were owners. This here, it's gonna be up to John Putnam to get this abatement request from his holding company in forms of a rebate against his rent. Is that correct? We're not responsible to delegate where the money goes. We're, the app,
Correct.
okay.
Property owner.
Well, I think that I think we need to have the property owner sign these.
Because your store building is the property owner.
That was the purpose of why.
Yeah, I can go back with that one and I can have them get the
Okay.
property owner to sign that. It's more, I wasn't as worried about that because it was more, I wanted the tenants to realize, I thought the real purpose was for the two signatures to make
Well-
sure that the tenants got the,
I think the discussion's been had. So,
I'm in favor of the 13 Main Street abatement.
I am too.
If the form has been properly signed.
Okay, I'll make sure they come back and sign it.
So does this commission have any issues with Lynn being our agent and being sure this is signed by the property owner and handled administratively?
She may do that.
Can we do that?
Thank you. But it has a note.
Okay. The next one is Putnam's.
Riverview.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were, and he owns that one. That's the one he owns.
In favor of the abatement.
Now, how about because it's the business owner and the property owner saying we don't need John to sign that one as well to be?
He did sign it. Well, he signed it at the bottom. I can, since they're coming in for the other one, I can make them sign the
Let's just
top.
make sure they sign that one, make sure the
Okay.
forms are completed.
No, it's identified on the form with the
Correct.
owners. They're the same person.
Oh, I see, it says here, they didn't check the box. And the box on the prior one was checked without a signature. Oh, now I see where we are. Okay.
Yeah, it's because it's a different
Because they're
owner.
the same, they don't have to check.
Roll call vote, David Pierce
On what?
on 40 Main Street.
I'm in favor of the abatement.
Rob,
Approve.
approve for me as well.
Okay, the next one is Pizza 911. And the restaurant was restricted to carry out delivery, curbside pickup pursuant to the governor's emergency order. No on-site service as establishment closed to customers, and they reduced water usage.
Any discussion? Dave Pierce?
They have inside seating there?
They do. They do. They have a
Small.
few, not a lot, but they've got the,
May we come back to this one?
Sure. Hold off on that one for now. Next one.
next one, these are the ones we had, Brown's Emporium.
That's Tommy Hall's old radio and TV shop, for those of you who don't know where that is. Across from Sully's.
So this one, their justification says, due to the shutdown, our tenant had her doors closed. Unfortunately, her doors are now closed for good. We, as owners of the building, will be paying the costs associated with the sewer bill directly. And so they are asking for an abatement because they don't have their tenant anymore.
I really don't see the difference between a business being shuttered and someone's business being empty as a result of it. In either case, there's no income to the business owner or the property owner. So I don't really think it's a fine line on this one. Does anybody agree or disagree with that?
Well, I guess my issue is that the funds are supposed to be going to the business owner. And
That won't happen.
that won't happen here. Because we don't know about the dealing between the business owner and the trust.
Well, can we do the same with this that we did with the prior one? And if Lynn can get the business owner to come in with the property owner and properly sign the forms, could we handle this administratively through Lynn?
The fact that the business owner has left, his finances are fixed. You know, it's a done deal. We shouldn't be adjusting it because he's out of business for other reasons.
Well,
I think
It would be like Brown Graphics leaving and the place is empty.
it's a
Still
loss
get a
in any
surcharge.
case, and the building is sitting empty and no one is using it. And we made this offer to businesses. Now, why wouldn't the landlord be considered a business? Because the landlord bought the property to rent it to make money.
but we don't know that.
It was due to the COVID-19 or not.
Well,
The whole point of the form was that the business owner and the property owner were to apply for it for the benefit of the business owner. The property owner is party to this thing because that is that's who we bill. And in this case, the business owner did not apply for the abatement.
Well, then I think that we should, if we're gonna be true to form, as we did on the prior ones, I think we should give this an opportunity for this tenant to come in with the business owner and state or give proof as to when the place closed. If it closed and it was 2 months out of the 3, then maybe we consider granting a percentage of it, and because the tenant did leave.
My feeling is that the business owner was significantly impacted because it caused a shutdown of the business. My point is that I think the abatement is supposed to benefit the business. Now, if the business has financial dealings with the property owner still, and that's part of it, then that's fine, but that's not our business. This is to offset hardship due to the COVID-19 for the business.
Well, do you want to continue this or vote on it, you other commissioners?
Right?
The abatement is not appropriate in this situation.
Okay, so your vote is no?
Correct.
Rob?
Would you allow some more discussion?
Oh, sure, I'm sorry, I thought it was...
I would be okay revisiting the application if this business owner wanted to complete the application.
With signature and an explanation? Or
Yep.
something to that effect?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, so Lynn, in the case of this application, we are not going to make a decision on it tonight.
Been tabled.
Would you
Yeah.
please contact this business owner and applicant and have them either come in and see you to complete the forms, or if they want to withdraw it, they can withdraw it.
And why don't we just have an agenda item for the next meeting?
We'll have it as an agenda exactly for the next meeting.
Just the applications in general in case we have another.
What do we have here? 32 Main Street. Once again, the business have been closed since the shutdown. Well, they stated here, as owners, we do not pass the cost of water and sewer onto our tenants.
This is the next, that's the next
Each business
one.
tenant have different water needs, and we do not, have no way to determine how much each tenant uses. Well, do we have individual sewer bills for the units, Mike? Did they ask for that information?
No, and their bill is just one, they didn't ask for anything, no. And can we
No, I want to...
get that, Mike? I mean, can you do that per apartment? I mean, this is that building where, right near the bridge, just if you're going out of town, across,
right.
on the right before the
Yeah.
bridge.
When they've been adding
The
new
apartment
facades.
building and all
Yeah, I know what
that.
you're talking about, yeah. I would have to look at my computer,
But,
see if I broke it down.
Because they just get one bill,
Yeah, but we discussed this.
yeah, I
Discussed
know.
this at length. The applications that came in, when this came in, did you explain to them that we can break this down for you after you read this? Did you?
No, no.
Well, then I wish we would have, because we talked about how Mike has all the breakdowns for all the units in every building. So when you take a building that has 5 different components in it, Mike figures out what each component is, and he add it all up and become a lump
well,
sum.
but here's the thing, is that in this case, like the previous, the business owner is not the applicant.
Mhm.
So we don't know what business at 32 Main Street
Was closed.
is applying for this. And similarly, the amount of the abatement, we have no idea how that pertains to the business. So in my opinion, the application's incomplete.
Correct. That's mine.
So if we want to, if the business owner would like to complete the incomplete application, then we can pass judgment on it.
At the next meeting. So we're gonna table this one as well.
So Mike, I need you to look in
Well, you need me
your stuff.
when you find out who it is, so send me.
Well, the onus responsibility is on the business owner.
Well, no, but we have to be able to break down, if he says, you know,
But I got the information prior to a meeting.
Right, once the business owner comes back with, and so maybe Lynn and Tim, certainly want to hear your thoughts on this. Why don't we say something to the effect that the information or the application must be complete or at least 1 week in advance of our meeting? That
Yes.
way it'll give Mike Urigo time to dig up any flow numbers that he needs to.
Actually, I think that's not enough time. I think if Lynn can contact these folks immediately, I think 2 weeks prior to the meeting is required, because Mike needs time to do everything else. He's inspecting sewer, construction, everything else. So this has to be done 2 weeks prior to our next meeting for investigative purposes.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
So we tabled
L&B Holding,
and LeBlanc
And-
Family Trust.
and, yeah.
The next one is the King Bowling Lane, Dan LaRochelle, please, Lynn.
the King Bowling Lanes had been closed since March 20th, so they were closed, and they're still closed.
Any discussion?
No.
Favorable.
Rob,
I seem to not have this. That's fine,
you missed King Lane in your packet?
apparently.
Sure.
Here, I give you one.
Says Dan LaRochelle.
Dan LaRochelle.
It says Dan LaRochelle, it doesn't say King Bowling Lanes.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's second from last.
No, you do.
That's,
Must have just got missed.
I don't know how.
You'll find it.
Put it on
after the meeting.
purpose.
yeah, that's it.
So,
You got it? Does he have it? Okay. So that one you said yes, right?
Yeah, they couldn't open it.
Rob has not voted because he couldn't find it.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
And the chair, and I vote yes for that application. Next one.
Okay. Next one is North Garden. She actually did not put a justification. I mean, I know they were closed.
Well, we have to treat them the same as we
Yeah.
treated the other ones. If the commission is in favor of Lynn contacting these folks and having them give their justification, and we already know what it is, but it's not on the application, so the application's incomplete, then we can discuss it at our next sewer commission meeting.
And it should put down if they did take out or not.
Yes.
So
That's
we'll let
Table.
table for Lynn to work with the applicant.
And in this case, the property owner and the business owner are the same?
Yeah, they're both owned by Winnie.
Okay. They just have two different addresses. so.
We just like to see a
She lives
statement.
somewhere
We would
else.
like to see the applicant say they are closed.
The last one, Lynn, please.
The last one is, it says Melissa Crawford and Raymond Car Wash. But what it is, we're a property owner and run the laundromat as well as rent units. Our business is down 40%. We are having difficulties renting an available unit. And the thing we recently rented out is unable to pay their rent based on the current pandemic. Please consider our current circumstances and contact us directly with any additional questions.
Well, it's their writing, so if their business is down 40%, then I might consider a 40%, some reduction to that degree in their laundromat use, because if they are using it, they have not been closed.
See, I think, that's what we're saying, we can't really do it with the system we have. That's what we had discussed at the last meeting. We were going to
All or nothing?
all or nothing type thing, yeah.
So
So is the business owner,
The business owner, and they own it, and they also run the business.
So even though it's not signed twice, you think it's just an oversight on their part?
Well, I think it's because they're one and the same.
Right. I don't think we can consider people unable to pay their rent based on the pandemic.
it's not paying rent, but they're not even renting at all. They're unable to rent.
Well, one unit they're unable to rent, yes, and then the other one is the people that are renting it are unable to pay.
So
yeah,
I think we have to stick to our guns, and if this applicant can produce information to the effect that their tenant wants to sign this as well, they're not a business owner, they're a tenant. We wanted to go to business owners, so I don't think.
yeah, my feeling on this is that the business is the laundromat. The laundromat was down 40%. I don't think that the renter,
This is not relief to renters.
correct. I don't want to start that precedent.
No.
So the business, they documented that their business was down. Our formula that we came up with is based on 50% excuse me, not how much their business was down necessarily. I'm okay with the impact.
Well, we,
Yeah, no, that $2,800 normal fee is based on many uses of the building, right?
yes.
Yeah, there's more than one uses.
So you need to
Good point.
provide to Lynn what portion of that 2,800 is due to the laundromat.
Yep.
And I agree with the abatement of 50% of that.
I agree with that.
Well, but we're willing to abate 50% of their total amount according to this here, even though we haven't broken it all down. They say their business is down 40%, which means they still have collected 60% of their normal revenue. So if they've collected more than half of their normal revenue, are we saying that that's gonna cover the first half of the bill and we're gonna give them a pass on the second half? Is that what we're saying?
I'm just,
Down 40% on the period we are considering,
So what is your recommendation,
to
Dave?
March, June. If you want to split the difference here, I mean,
No, say what your
Okay.
recommendation is, please.
then I agree with 40% of whatever the charges would be for the laundromat.
I disagree, because that's not how we set up. If somebody went out of business, or, you know, all these other applications, it's, we're approving the abatement, or we're not, and we set up the, the paperwork, and it happened to work out to be 50%. I think if their laundromat was significantly impacted, then we approve the abatement for the laundromat, not for the entire
That's what
property.
Dave said.
When
Yeah,
you
it's-
say
it's- it said
40%
that.
versus
Now, you're saying
60%.
40% of the laundromat share.
Whatever the laundromat share is of 2,800, the discussion is it 50 or 40?
Let's be generous and make it 50%.
I agree.
So, when Mike can give Lynn a dollar figure for what the laundromat sewer bill is based on his calculations in his files, we agree to abate 50% of the laundromat's usage,
Portion of the
portion of the
28.
$2,800.
I might have to get back to you on some of these, because I'm not sure the way the system is, listening to Danielle before.
Why does the system have anything? We just say,
The way I take the money off of the bill, I'm not sure. That's why we tried to keep it simple and just take,
can't an abatement just shows a credit on the bill? Simple.
I don't know if it's that simple. I'll do what I can. I'll find, I might end up having to get back to you. I don't know. But that's what we
We're already
wanna do.
doing an amount, percentage of a total bill,
Well, yeah,
so we can do a percentage of a percentage and still apply the same mathematical calculations.
I'm going to try. I'm just not making you any promises, is what I'm saying.
So we're gonna have to come back to this one at the next meeting then.
Well, no, I know what you want to do. You can, yes, for now, and if it doesn't work, I'll come back to you.
All right, so that is, Commissioner agree with that? If she can work it out and report back to us on what the amounts were, we're in agreement? Dave Pierce?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
I vote yes.
So,
So we have 3 to revisit. Oh, we actually have 1 to
Yeah,
revisit.
we have
Dave.
this other one.
Pizza 911,
Yep.
now that we have discussed all of the situations,
Got those four.
Pizza 911, restricted to carry out.
And some of them you gotta fill out the rest of the form. You know, choose.
This form is complete, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is, yeah. Well, I'm just looking at my list.
Oh, I see.
Pizza 911 is complete.
Yes, it is.
So
So do you want,
inside use was restricted.
you know, I'm not willing to be the table counting police. So I think if they had no indoor use, that's the criteria we applied to our other applications, and we should apply it directly to this one.
And technically, that's kind of how
I agree.
the billing was.
So Commissioner Pierce?
I agree.
Approve, yes. I approve, yes also. So we have 2 tabled items, 3 tabled items. North Garden,
Now we have the,
We
We table North Garden because it was incomplete?
tabled North Garden because they didn't give us an explanation.
Right, incomplete.
And then we tabled Sawyer's.
Browns.
I need a signature from Sawyer's. And then and Brown's, well, those two Brown ones,
The
the
two-
Browns and out, the
Brown and...
LeBlanc and L&B Holding. So 15 North Mass, 32 Main Street, 13 Main Street, and 715
If
Mass.
this- For the commissioners' information,
In the
if...
laundromat.
Hmm?
In the laundromat.
No, the
I'm
laundromat,
gonna let her handle that administratively through you, if you can...
Yeah, well, I'll table it on my phone.
Let's talk about the North Garden here very briefly as commission. If, in fact, it is properly filled out with the justification, can Lynn administer this one administratively as well?
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
okay.
So we only have two that are in questions because of the business owner and the renters and the whole thing for the two.
Yeah, Sawyer's, I just need a signature from,
Yeah, you need a couple signatures for, John Putnam has to sign the one he owns.
he did, didn't he? Yeah.
No, there's an owner and, no, that's right, you were right, he didn't check the box, Dave showed me that. Okay,
Okay,
so you have a couple of administrative issues to handle, and then you can report back to us on how
Yep.
they went.
okay.
We haven't heard anything from Corey this meeting.
He's hanging loose.
How's your container doing?
Empty, so.
Got shelves yet?
No, we made a list.
Did you pick this stuff up by chance?
I haven't had a chance, but over there.
Okay, we'll make time. That's an order.
Just have a,
Sorry, didn't mean to get you in trouble.
No, that's all right.
BB,
Do you have a warrant to sign?
yeah, I do, I'll give you that in a minute, I just have a couple things here. City of Manchester sent us a note that we will be we actually just got the check for $32,052 for a credit from, town share of actual O&M costs for the period have been calculated. The estimated billings for the same time period came in lower, so we had a surplus of $32,000, and they sent us a check for that. So it doesn't go against our O&M charges for the year, but it does go into our revenue. So that was deposited last week, or yesterday. What else? CIP is July 30th via WebEx. Are you,
I do not do web anything, so if you'd like to do it with Mike, or Mike can do it, or however we do it, it's fine with me. But I'm not doing anything on WebEx.
I don't know how to do the web either.
Why don't we just submit it?
Go for it.
What we'll do is we'll submit it, I'll come in and see Joanne and talk to Joanne about it. Maybe we could submit it, and it can be,
This is part of why
Motionless.
I was a little late tonight. Danielle gave this to me, this is CIP, and she's just questioning it because we haven't given them a definite answer. It's all says pending versus, based on sewer commission review. This is what Mike did, and she's questioning the amounts there. She's saying it looks kind of funny that in 2021,
Maybe who's questioning?
Danielle. She's just questioning why, like 2021, it's 645, then it goes down in 2023, then it goes down 2022, 23, then it goes back up in
Because
2024.
It's so simple, that explanation, because not all jobs are the same. They're all different. So the numbers are higher and lower based on the amount of work we're doing in that year. So that's the whole answer. in a nutshell.
So sewer rehab is all different jobs
It's all
and,
different jobs,
okay.
different streets, different lengths, different jobs. It's
Well, we should have backup calculations for each one of these.
Mike has them all.
Yeah.
Submitted them all.
So I can tell her that everything they have, this is pending, this is the sewer commission approves this, what has been submitted, and she can make it final?
Let's, the draft pending sewer commission review. How about
Let's review it.
How about we review it right now and approve it, as far as I'm concerned?
I like, see the backup.
Yeah,
I gave these to you at the last meeting, I have a couple of them, I didn't
email it
reprint,
all.
Yeah, I got it.
I didn't reprint everything again, but
But why? It's kind of,
Only thing I did is,
I just had-
instead of having $1 million, like Lewis Street is almost 1,200 feet long, Instead of,
Broke it up.
I broke it up into sections, try to keep it in the 500,000 range. That's the difference between the projects.
You know, I'm not
So the
really,
program goes longer, instead of being done in 7, 8 years, it's gonna be 16.
I'm really not in the frame of mind to sit here at a commissioner meeting and break down all of Mike's work that he works on to get these projects put. And this is all like funny money, all this stuff, because it never comes in exactly the way we planned. So these are what we call placeholders. And we've been calling them placeholders in CIP for the last 15 years that I did CIP.
We call them estimates.
So if you want to sit and review them.
Estimates for bidding purposes only.
Mike's year-by-year plan doesn't actually list where the project is.
Should right on the street. Should list the street name.
I'm looking. I don't see any street name.
Sewer rehabilitation. Now, you didn't put them on in these narratives, Mike, you put them in the emails you sent me, you sent me the list of all the streets you were gonna work on, as which was which.
We have the same narrative.
Well, yeah, because it's the same job, it hasn't changed.
When this
Just
form,
years.
when this form is presented to the capital improvement committee, there's nothing here to justify why the amounts are different. Other than,
But then I think,
trust me, they're different sites. That doesn't fly very far.
Just under the purpose of the project for each one of these, why don't you just put the project title?
Mike, could we amend these forms so that you could list the streets and the linear footage that was proposed work, and that would give you the differential between.
I agree with the chair.
Yes, I do as
Here,
well.
Mike, you see. So right at the very top, on the right-hand side where you have sewer rehabilitation, project 2021 sewer rehabilitation, if you could list the names of the streets and the lineal footage of each road, then you would see the variance in the projects and you could see the variance in the price.
We're having a disconnect here. He's not.
Mike's reading right now.
Okay, that's all.
So can you do that and then update them?
Yeah, I can do that and email it back to you.
No, don't, and just take your forms
Yeah.
and resubmit them, or whatever you have to do to the CIP committee for review.
Yeah.
And
Then is the CIP committee expecting a physical presence of a commissioner?
no, they don't have physical meetings.
Well, they're doing a WebEx, and
No,
they are expecting a commissioner, as far as I know, to be on a WebEx.
Well, if there's a commissioner that wants to do it, please step up.
I'll be there.
Thank you, David. So in the meantime, Mike, you could just do the cover page only, not redo all of the whole document. And you can submit a single page, because all these are in a binder at CIP, green binder, they're not stapled. So they can rip a page out and put the new one right in, open up, pop it right in. It goes really fast for CIP.
So just make the changes on the cover sheet, on the
Just
cover,
the
on that cover sheet.
On the cover sheet of each
Yeah.
out year, 22, 23, 24, and right on through. Street name and lineal footage, simple. Or street names, plural.
Send a project name.
You get me the new form and you tell me when the meeting is? and
Yeah,
I'll-
the meeting is, I'll send you an email, but just so you know right now, the meeting is, what did I say? Yeah, lost all my paperwork. Hold on.
Maybe I'll just spring and buy the chair a computer.
What chair?
You.
I have a computer.
It's not
I
your
refuse to participate in any web meeting.
The meeting is July 30th at 7 o'clock. It's DPW and sewer.
11 o'clock.
I mean, 7 o'clock. Did I say 11? I'm sorry.
That's a good time.
Well, that's what time it ends.
So July 30th at 7, and Mike send me the new ones, and I'll send you the new ones.
I'm so pleased that this commission agrees to meet in person, because otherwise we wouldn't even have a meeting.
You still there, Chet?
I'm still here.
Wow.
Just checking.
Taking a nap.
Okay.
No, I'm just sitting here doing a remote meeting while I hear about how bad it is to do
Mr.
remote
Chair, I
meetings.
have,
But it's a fun time.
Mr. Chair, I have other businesses warranted.
I do too, so you want to go first? Go ahead. Are we done with CIP?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Pierce, please.
Our property on East Union Street is experiencing lots of people occupying the property especially on the weekends.
I noticed people down there.
I think I counted 15 cars on Sunday.
What's our policy? Public access?
It's always been open.
Yeah. So I have a concern that people are having an E. coli problem with the water. Glen Lake, if there happen to be
Yes, we know, in the water.
going in the water
Yes.
or on the ground. So one solution is we would put a portable john on that site for 3 months.
I am totally against that.
I,
We're inviting trouble.
I think if a porta potty is going to go down, I don't think it should be the sewer commissioner. I think it should be the selectmen that address that, and it should come through the town,
I
not
agree.
the sewer.
Because our next MO is to put gates up and lock the place.
That's correct.
And I,
Because we didn't want the public down there.
we don't want the public down there.
And ever since the COVID virus and the committee that the selectmen had advertised basically that spot.
The selectmen have advertised that
Well, when
spot?
they had that committee for the shoreline
Oh, I see.
for the town,
Oh,
it
yeah.
advertised that spot on the TV now.
You
So
can't
that-
even,
So everybody
Go there.
decided, oh, we're getting another place to go. So they all go down there.
It bears the question, who is the legal owner of the property?
Town of Goffstown,
Then we can't gate it because the
but
selectmen...
you're paying for the maintenance of the property.
We need to have an agenda item with the Board of Selectmen on this.
Okay. Elm Street, waterfront park there. Town owns the property, but it's managed by the park department.
Okay?
Park department has a portable potty, John.
That's also a fishing game boat ramp.
Right, which is funded by the feds.
No,
It's
it
funded
was
by the feds to build.
was built with federal money. So that, there's a department of the town, operates a facility, they're providing sanitation for people using that property. What's the difference with the sewer commissioner? We're allowing the public free access to enjoy the waterfront on our property.
It's not our property, it's the town of Goffstown.
We operate the property.
The way I look at it is the Goffstown Parks and Rec is part of the town and the town's budget, and everybody uses Parks and Rec, where the sewer commission, only a small portion of people are paying
It's an
fees
enterprise
towards
fund.
that. It's an enterprise, and it's not something that comes out of all the taxpayers' money. It's just a small group of people are funding it, and I don't think that those small group of people
Just to be-
should. I think I think it's a good idea, but I think the selectmen should talk about it, and it should come out of the town's budget.
To begin with, we have a huge liability issue right now with the construction crews, having all the equipment and trench boxes and everything else in there.
we posted a flagger in the intersection because there's so many cars, just to keep turning people away.
Well,
Because
I
there
think-
was too many cars, somebody's
I
gonna get
think
run
there's
over.
two different issues here. One is safety. If there's construction activity and that area is being used to support construction, then I think legitimately you restrict
Public access.
public access to it. If you're promoting it for public access, one, if we maintain it and somebody else is promoting it, then there should have been a conversation there on how that's gonna get managed.
We never had a conversation with the Board of Selectmen here.
And if it's
So
gonna,
can I ask? Sorry.
You
Go ahead, Chet.
were the next person I was
setting
gonna
you
ask
up.
to speak.
Go ahead, Chet.
No, I'm just trying to understand it. I'm not aware of advertising that particular spot, are you talking about the ad hoc committee?
I didn't, who made that statement?
Yeah. Yeah, it's when they looked at the properties along the river.
Okay, so that was an ad hoc committee,
Yeah.
chaired by Selectman Collis at the time.
Right.
So I think we'll have to, I mean, certainly, I would agree, put it on our agenda, get it in front of us. But I don't know that any of us were aware that that particular spot was advertised. So, if so, I would agree, the sewer commission should have been contacted by us and a conversation should have been had. I think it might have been an ad hoc committee decision and maybe just an oversight issue. So, yes, certainly put in front of us.
And
Thank you, Jeff. But the whole issue is, if we're allowing the public to use that land, there's a severe risk of E. coli in Glen Lake, and the lake would have to be closed. So,
Not only
People are
That's a
abusing the,
pretty important issue to me. So, yeah, we'll
And there's more issues there's trash. I'm sure there's plenty of trash, because that's what started the whole Glen Lake discussion when we rebuilt the waterfront there. Seems to me like 15 years ago, I worked down there as a volunteer on that, because people were leaving so much trash down there.
I walk around on a daily basis with a 5-gallon pail and a poker, and I pick up the trash.
Well,
And they're driving on lawns, they
They
do
drive,
donuts,
yeah.
they destroy the place.
right now, it's pretty destroyed right now, but the point is that if it's gonna be open to the public, I think the Board of Selectmen has to have a statement in this regarding how the Board of Selectmen feels on property maintenance and sanitation. And I would appreciate that, Chet, would you take the motivation to get that on your agenda, or do we need to go through Derek Horn?
I can certainly support it. If you could just, Lynn, if you could just let Derek know, and then Derek can talk to me and I can let him know about the situation, that would be great.
getting back to the first topic, is it still a safety concern? Because if there's a safety concern, then I think we should restrict access, because the liability is just too great.
Could you have that part of your discussion,
I agree
please, Chet?
100%.
Yeah.
I think, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you should bring that point to the selectmen, because I will tell you, when you have construction equipment down there and things like trench boxes, when the construction equipment is handling trench boxes, they scar the metal, they make burrs, they make razor sharp edges with little pieces of steel from the bucket making contact with all those things down there. And if a kid climbs on one of them and gets cut, the town's gonna be held liable for damages. So I think during the sewer construction, that it should be restricted as to no access by the public. And then once the construction is over, then we can have our conversation on how we would move forward with making it public accessible.
Driveway at the top.
And
I'm
who-
sorry, I'm hearing a lot of feedback, Tim, but I'm
Yeah,
I'm
because
pretty sure I
everybody was
heard
having
what
a
you were
chat.
saying. And if it is a safety issue, which it sounds very likely that it is, I don't even think that we need to wait until 2 weeks from yesterday for a meeting. So Lynn, if we can, if you can let Derek know that we had this conversation, and then I can talk to him tomorrow, and I'll loop in the rest of the board.
Thank you, Chet,
Is the construction by DPW or by a
contractor,
contractor?
SUR West.
It's a contractor.
So I'm just gonna tell him we had a conversation about a porta potty and safety at East Union Street, and you will get in touch with him about it.
Well, now, if it's SUR West, they have a contract, and I'm sure in that contract, there's site security provisions.
I don't know, we'd have to read the contract.
Yeah, but I mean, typically, the
Most of their
contractor-
equipment is gone.
Oh, they're out of there?
Now,
They're moving out.
they're moving out.
But are they gonna maintain that yard for other construction for the town, or is that yard gonna be cleaned right out and
It'll
done?
be cleaned and
It needs
removed
to
and
be
seeded.
cleaned,
They're
reloaned,
they're
and
effectively
seeded.
gone.
So they're
How
gone.
much
They have a
longer?
couple pieces of equipment down there.
Well, then we're gonna have to get a timetable from Mike and Corey on when SUR will be vacating the site in its
Well-
entirety. Then you have the repaving project going in down there,
Right, they're gonna do the
reclaiming.
reclaiming the driveway and the road and then the whole, everything that's pump station down there. As soon as we change the water line from the building to the hydrant.
And have you excuse me, Rob, have you made a contract with someone to do the landscaping around after the paving is done? I
That's
mean,
part of their SUR.
Advance? SUR,
Well, SUR restoration for the construction site right now.
right?
They're gonna reloom that, proceed it, and put it back to what it was.
How about after advanced paving does their work?
Then
Is there more?
Then he's gonna do the landscape.
I would expect that if they have equipment down there, that they would safeguard their equipment with barricades and
They put,
It's not their equipment that I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the trench boxes and the steel plates and all the stuff.
I don't have a good appreciation for what's down there right now, and it's in a state of flux. All I'm saying is that the contractor should safeguard their portion of the site that they're impacting from a safety standpoint.
So then they have to lock the gate. That's the only way they can do it, because
We
they've
don't
got
have a
the
gate.
entire site.
There's no gate.
There is no
I
gate.
know there's no gate. The point is that if they were gonna safeguard the site, they'd have to put a gate up or put a chain up and prevent public access to the site, because they have legitimately the entire site. But if they're moving out, it's a moot point.
They're moving out, so.
You're moving up.
So back to what I'm talking to Derek about then, I'm gonna talk to Derek mostly about the porta potty and,
No, we're gonna talk to Derek about the fact that we would like the selectmen's input on how the property is to be utilized from the selectmen's standpoint.
There's heavy use of the public on the weekends there, and the threat is to the
Water quality.
water quality.
And trash is the other issue.
And the erosion.
Yeah.
They cause erosion down there to the lake.
So the select board is gonna have to come up with a game plan on how they feel is the proper approach to handling this, and then we will confer with the select board. We are the stewards of the property, would that be a correct statement? The town may own it, but we're the stewards of that property. We've been charged with utilizing it and taking care of it.
Been utilizing since 1958.
Right. Okay. Do you have any other items, David? Was that just the only one?
I'll be quiet.
No, you're welcome.
oh,
Mike, we have an update now on what's going on with the sewer reconstruction, now that we've already got a little bit of it from the phone.
Sewer reconstruction, the main line's been completed, services are all connected
On East Union Street.
on East Union Street. Tonight, the Goffstown Water, Village Water Precinct is gonna vote whether or not to change the water main on East Union Street.
Okay?
If that happens, then the DPW is gonna end up reclaiming the street after, and we're gonna pay a portion of the pavement.
Okay.
Because as it stands right now, a 10-foot trench has become a 25-foot trench.
Yep.
So we would have to overlay the whole road anyways. So tonight, tomorrow, we'll find out really is gonna happen. If it doesn't happen, then Adam's got a choice what he wants to do. He's gonna either reclaim it, or we're gonna turn around and put an overlay over the whole thing.
Is the water precinct adding any money in for the asphalt, or is it?
They were not adding any money to the asphalt. What we told them was, because they were still 2 weeks out to do the water main. So we told them, since you don't want to pay for the asphalt or contribution towards the asphalt, you will maintain this gravel trench into its entirety. Because I didn't want to put down 100 tons of temporary pavement.
What's there right now, Mike?
We temporarily paved the hill,
Okay?
not knowing what was going on with the water main. So it stops the erosion. The level part of the roadway is all gravel.
And they're gonna maintain that as a.
They're gonna maintain that in lieu of payment of the asphalt.
So the sharing of the future asphalt is between DPW and the commission.
And that's gonna, and, yeah, because the money will come out of the CIP line.
So we win.
Everybody would win. The town would win because they're getting the water line changed.
Now, in the event that the water department decides not to do the water line, where does that leave us?
That leaves us where Adam make a decision whether or not to reclaim the road. If
Right?
he does not reclaim the road, then we have to overlay the road under the soil commission contract.
And that would be for the damaged portions only, where we did our work in the road.
Only way we did the road from the East Union Pump
Just the-
Station to the church.
Backfilling of the trench technically reclaimed properly?
The reconstruction, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was just, if this
It'd be
extra
good-
wide trench
It'd be good if
was,
the whole commission
was
would-
the trench actually backfilled and reclaimed properly, vibrated and
compacted, you're asking.
compacted. He
No.
says yes.
Yeah, and they still have to go back through and do compaction tests on the entire trench.
Now, in the event that we're on the hook for the whole thing, Mike, that means we have to trench patch first and then overlay the road, is that what you're saying?
We'll overlay the road,
Just overlay the road? With what, a 2.5-inch binder or something to that effect?
inch and a half to 2.
But how long is that expected to last?
Actually, we did that in Warren Ave, and then it's been 2 years.
Well,
It's
they don't
still
have
going.
bus traffic like we do in Frost and Milton. That's a highly traveled road, so. In the event that we are saddled with the whole thing, we should be very careful about what we select to put down, because we could end up spending a lot more money to fix it if we don't give it a decent paving job. Because if the town doesn't do anything for 5 years, for instance, down there, and the water department doesn't dig the road up to change the water main, then we're on the hook for that pavement until who knows when. Because,
Well, the contractor being hooked for payment for a 1-year warranty period.
yeah, but the 1-year warranty, what if the
But
What if the contractor doesn't agree that 1.5 inches of pavement is enough to bear the weight of school buses and everybody else? Because he's not gonna wanna fix it if he doesn't fix it right the first time. Yeah.
What was the budgeted amount? What did you sign up for?
658,000 was the contract amount?
No, but I mean, as
Tonnage
far as
for the
the,
pavement.
as far as the asphalt, what was,
Two
what
lanes.
was in the contract?
We had, between all three,
It would
between the
be
3/8, half,
paving over
three-quarter,
the
we had
existing road,
850
which
tons
has
of,
faults in it
for the
because it's not
175
properly.
per ton.
Is that
Oh,
2 inches
rebuilt.
binder?
Yeah.
Is that
Well,
what?
where did we
So-
decide to do? I
Paving
calculate,
over crap.
calculate a couple different ways.
You square yardage
I
and
do,
tonnage?
I do by the tonnage, and basically I usually try to do an overlay to get my quantities up. So there's different ways of doing it. So, you know that, yeah, the road might not stand up to it.
So if we get settled doing the whole thing, can the budget support it, or do we need more money?
It might support it, might probably be close, because we still gotta do Favorite Street, which is
Yeah,
where
but
they.
you didn't allow for a 24-foot wide patch for this.
No, I allow for a 10-foot patch.
No, you 10-foot
Yeah,
patch.
that's
So
what I was
anything
asking.
Yeah, I allow for a
So-
10-foot.
so-
Anything
so-
over 10,
Usually a 10-foot patch and an overlay.
yeah, so anything over
Overlay
10
would
feet is gonna be an extra.
Yeah.
Right. So there will be more money, Rob.
So 2 inches binder, 1.5 inches at top?
They probably have more money already because they had ledge, they had to hammer ledge, which is probably an extra in there.
No, I had 225 cubic yards,
Okay,
and we're
good.
only a quarter into
But
it.
I'm with you, I'd rather spend a little bit more money and do
No,
it
we
right.
have to, we'll have a discussion before the paving decision is made, if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, but we'll find out tomorrow what's the water precinct.
So what did you submit here? This is, application for payment number 1, are these all?
Those are all Mike, the job, that payment, they're all the same thing, but we need a signature on each one.
From all 3 commissioners?
Yeah,
From one
no,
commissioner.
for just one commissioner.
Just 3 copies.
Anybody mind if I sign these? Anybody have an issue?
And then this
Through the
one
chair,
here,
So we can pay the big bucks.
this one here is the Formax one. I spoke to them. He is willing to, we need to pay it by July 31st to get the price that's for the pressure sealer.
And that's what we talked about doing in
Right.
October?
Right, so I
he
just
basically
need,
said no.
what they said is they're going to deliver it once we pay it, but they're not going to train us or do any of that until October. And our 90-day warranty won't start till October, just what we wanted them to do.
Perfect.
So I just need this signed so I can send it back to them, and then they'll send me an invoice.
Give it to,
Rob,
give it to
please.
Rob.
And then this is just the regular sewer warrant.
You said that the warranty we can purchase later.
Yes,
David?
yep, we're not gonna purchase the warranty until, unless we change our mind later on down the line. So all we're agreeing
We'll
to right
purchase the
now is the
warranty,
price, and they are willing to hold off with the warranty until October.
So Mike, on this SUR construction request for payment,
Mhm.
their mobilization is at 25,000 and maintenance, is that the entire contract amount for the whole project from beginning to end?
The mobilization, that's a lump sum
For the whole project?
for the whole project.
And we're gonna pay it all at once, up front, one shot?
Well, now you're paying only
It's 20% or something?
20% of it.
Okay, thank you. I just wanna make sure I understood. There you go. Oh, there's the Formax. Thing that goes back over that way. Dave's working on the warrant.
There,
You're gonna keep your copy, one goes to them and one stays with me.
and with the check. One goes with the check.
One goes with the check, one stays with me.
Gary Moore, I thought he was dead.
Me?
Wasn't Gary Moore a
No.
guy on TV in the 50s?
Oh,
Oh,
I
I
thought,
thought someone said Ted. No, but-
No. No, we know you're still alive and well.
He's just sleeping.
yeah, we heard you snoring.
Sorry to wake you up.
So the contractor, just to finish the discussion, the contractor is moving to Fairview Street
I
tomorrow.
need to, right?
Yeah, sign it. You're here.
Already signed.
And we're still waiting to hear from Water Industries about the Review Park building.
Yeah, how much longer do you think that's gonna take, Mike? To get information?
Well, apparently the representatives of in the factories just got back to work now, because of COVID.
The representatives in the,
Well, the technical people in the factory for,
Where do they make that?
they don't make fiberglass there.
that. Well,
Where do they make it?
I don't know, they come from Missouri.
Ohio, Furman Road,
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, any idea what we're looking at to replace that building?
not yet. I have no clue.
You got any experience with that?
I know there's a lot of guys that do fiberglass buildings.
So we may end up with
But
some.
and also there's gonna be a cost for taking everything out the walls in that building.
Yeah, everything, all the
Floor meters,
electricals,
all that stuff,
everything's all
electronics
mounted
are on
to
that
the
wall,
walls.
so. We'll have to,
And this is because the roof is leaking, not because the building is structurally unsound?
Yeah, but it's a,
it's caving in.
Yeah, the whole roof is
the whole
caving in.
thing's all one.
The roof can't be removed.
That's what we're trying to find out from Water Industries. That was one of the questions I had for them.
Can the roof be sawed off and another one built on top?
It's bolted on. You can
Yeah.
unbolt the roof. It has lifting hooks on it, but like when we met with the representative there, you can unbolt it and try to pull it off, but you might pull,
Can
you don't
you,
know what else you're
You
gonna
know
pull.
what?
Cecil-
Representatives are there to sell you a new building, so let's think outside the box and see if we can't fix it without replacing the entire building.
So all the stuff on the walls are all the controls and everything, and is that one of the ones with the standby engines?
We'll go for a ride, Corey, you and I.
No,
We'll take a ride.
no, it's a,
let me know.
it was a
Good, I
two-stage
will
pumping
inform you.
system.
Oh, two-stage?
It's two-stage.
Corey
Oh,
gave
the
me a
skid
tour 3 weeks
And
ago.
control panels
Good, I'm
Are
glad to
all
hear you're
part of
taking
the
the time to
skid.
do it.
on a good Monroe system. The heater, the fan, the intake, and the flow meters, and the lights, and the outlets are all bolted to the building.
This must be one of our longest commission meetings in
Yeah.
history, so does anybody else have any business for the commission tonight?
I told my wife I'd be home at 8
All right,
o'clock.
I need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call. Dave, please.
Dave, yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Tim, yes. Chet, thank you for phoning in and staying awake all this time.
You got it. Thank you all.
Good night.
We actually gave you